Welcome to Unlevel TV with my Phablet guide for 2013. End of the year is near and you guys should decide which big smartphone you should get. There is a lot of people nowadays with a small iPhone 5 or 5S and they are considered big smartphones since before it was just 3.5 inches and now we have a 4-inch screen. But we have Phablets now on the market and they are selling good. What's the reason in Asia? Everybody loves to have a big screen because they're traveling for 2 to 3 hours to just get to work every day, and therefore a big screen is awesome to watch movies. Like for example, an HTC One Max with a 5.7 inch full HD, 5.9 inch full HD screen. It's a cool device, and the biggest phablet right now in Europe is the Sony Xperia Z Ultra 6.4 inch full HD. They have all full HD except for the ZTE here on the side. I will show you guys all of the devices in comparison in size and also the main features that you should be aware of. And I can tell you guys right away, these three are my favorites: the Samsung Galaxy Note 3, Asus PhonePad Note 6 FHD, and the HTC One Max. Sony is also in the top 4, maybe on the 3rd place, but I'm not sure since it's really too big with the 6.4 inch screen, but more to that at the end. And the ZTE is my loser, and I will start here with this loser device since the price is amazing. For $399 you get a quite beautiful, cool smartphone from China, but there's nothing special actually about just as a big smartphone. They just built a 5.7 inch HD display, not full HD, smartphone with some Android buttons on the bottom. These are okay. I like to have them outside of the screen, but otherwise there's no stylus feature, there's no waterproofness, there is no a little RGB or IR infrared sensor on top so you can control your TV. We just have the good 13 megapixel camera, volume rocker, on and off switch, SIM card slot. Actually the on and off switch is on the top, which doesn't make sense for a big device, I think, since you can barely reach it and you can't reach it without having to hassle on top. So this is my loser here for the Phablets 2013, but still, if the price goes under $299, you can still buy one since the hardware is quite okay, and with a 5.9 inch screen or 5.7 inch screen you will probably be also happy, and since it's HD it's also actually sharp enough. But all the other ones here on the table have a full HD, so let's start here with the HTC. They're also quite cool, also one of my top smartphones since we have boom sound, perfect for watching movies if you are, for example, in your car. For the train, maybe not perfect, but of course you have a headphone jack, and you have here the infrared port so you can control your TV or your stereo system, anything at home. So this is also a cool multimedia remote. Otherwise we have here a few buttons, of course, and the fingerprint reader, so this could be also called a business device. Good camera here, external batteries, also weighable with a case, and also the big screen has also a few Android software features now with the latest HTC stands. Like for example, you can turn off this blink feed thingy and so on. But what's missing in comparison to the last, to my favorites maybe here, is that you don't have a stylus feature. You can of course download a Note app and you can draw with your finger on it, but you don't have a stylus feature actually built in. But you can take off the back cover and put in a micro SD and your SIM card, but actually all 5 devices I have here on the table now have a micro SD slot, so that's alright. So let's just close this up again and let's go to the next one, the Sony Xperia Z Ultra. Now the Z Ultra is one of my favorites in the last days since it's really a huge screen. You can watch nicely movies on it. The battery life is alright. We have on all of these about 3000 milliamps, 3000 to 3200. Also here it's waterproof, and it's waterproof with the headphone jack, not covered as it is not on the Z1, which came out at the same time. As you can see, these are both waterproof, but the Z Ultra is actually slimmer than the Z1 that you guys probably know from a lot of ads from Sony, and it's a really beautiful device. Micro SD slot on the side, everything else is covered, like for example the micro USB because of the waterproofness, but we have also the possibility to use it with a stand, so you can just dock it in and have it charging while you're watching your movie. But it doesn't have the stereo boom sound sound. It seems like it has, but it's just a microphone on the bottom and the speakers on the top for taking phone calls, and it's really a huge device. You will see in a few seconds when I compare all the devices. So the main features here: waterproofness, and you can use it with a stylus or just a pencil, anything that has a metal tip, to really write on it. It's quite cool. Otherwise, we have here the Asus PhonePad Note 6 FHD. It's a long name, but it's worth to remember it. This is my number 1 or maybe number 2 device, since $350 for a smartphone which has a 6-inch Full HD screen, a fast Intel processor, and also a stylus built in. Now, a stylus you don't get for this price usually, but Asus built a device that has it, and these are the only 2 phones which I'm quite upset about, is which have no backlight for the camera, which is a little bit of a drawback, but that's actually, I think, one of the only ones here with the Asus, since the software is good. We have Android Jelly Bean here installed. The latest Android from Asus comes usually quite fast. You can see we have 2 speakers built in. There's the microphone right here on the bottom, so also for a boom sound, kind of like experience is also good. Micro SD and SIM card slot on a headphone port, and everything is actually available here. So just the waterproofness would make it maybe the really best smartphone for the next 1-2 years, but you don't really need, I think, that feature. So this is my favorite of 2013 for $350, the Asus PhonePad Note 6 FHD, which has a little bit of a cracky back, but there's also a black one available which looks like this on the back. It has a rubber, nice, awesome finish, but just check out my video for that on here in my channel. So let me put that back down again, and let's see what the Samsung Galaxy Note 3 can do. So for the same price as the Sony, for example, or the HTC, you get here 5.7-inch Full HD screen, so a little bit smaller than the rest of them, but also Full HD. We have Android buttons here on the bottom, hardware button on the front, which everybody's missing nowadays, but you can just really turn on your device by pressing that one. You don't have to press it here on the side to turn it on and off. Otherwise, micro USB, stylus, speaker, headphone, infrared port also here. That's also actually missing on the Asus, but well, if you don't want to have a universal remote control, that's also fine. So infrared port there, 30 megapixel light, and you can also take here off the back cover to put in the micro SIM and micro SD. And this is the one of the only phablets here where you can also change the 3000 milliamp battery. It looks like leather on the back. It's not, it's just plastic with a leather optic, but it still feels quite good, and better than the Asus, but not when it has the black back cover. That also feels quite good. And we have here amazing stylus with so many features. I could not even list them in a 15-minute video, so you will see my review video with about 20 minutes soon coming up. But otherwise, really quite amazing smartphone, but the price is just too high for me. But the size is maybe for a phablet perfect on this one. It could be a little bit smaller. Like for example, we have the LG G2 with 5.2 inches, but of course there's still a lot of space here on the bottom, so maybe a 5.4 inch phablet in this size would be perfect in the next years, but we a little bit have to wait for that. Till then, let's just compare 5.7 inch to the 6 inch. Two favorites here of mine. Also a thickness, you guys can get a first impression. Sony Humongous 6.4 versus 5.7, all Full HD. Thickness, Sony wins. It's the slimmest, one of the slimmest smartphones I've ever seen. Then we have the HTC One Max here. We can see 5.9 inches versus 5.7. Again in thickness, Samsung wins. And then my loser of the year, or of the last quarter at least, in phablets, ZTE. Also in thickness, you guys can see here the difference. So let me just take the Asus, compare that one also here. 5.9 versus 6, or 5.7 versus 6, about the same size. Then we have Sony here, again. Let me do the thickness also again, since Sony is really so slim. HTC, start with the thickness. And then you can see here also again in the size, they're not that much different from the front, but the screen is of course 6" and 5.9. So let me put that down, and then we have the Sony versus the HTC. Haven't done that yet, I think. Thickness, not quite fair. And for the ZTE, the other ones you guys have already seen before. And then the ones left are HTC and ZTE, I think, and HTC and Asus already did. So these are the last ones. And yeah, as I said before, these are my favorite 4 here. You guys have to decide if you want a phablet. Otherwise, smaller 5" Full HD smartphones are also quite good, S4 versus a Note 3. Or my favorite, maybe this year in all smartphones, should check out my other smartphone videos, is here where I guide you through what I would buy. The LG G2, amazing phone, you should buy it, you should really try it out. Huge screen, huge battery life, and maybe just the perfect size and weight. But micro SD is missing, and that's one drawback. Really just one drawback, otherwise there's everything inside, from infrared port to LED flash to everything else. So thank you much for watching. My name is Balazs Gal, and these were the Phablets 2013. You guys have to decide, but I would recommend buying here one of the bottom 3 ones.